Hi, my name is Joy Mayer, and I am so sorry not to be there with you in person today. I live in Sarasota, Florida, and as you watch this on Sunday, you will know more about the path of Hurricane Irma than I do right now as I record it on Friday afternoon. But my family and I are obviously stuck here and have a little bit going on at the moment. But I'm excited to at least take a few minutes and tell you about the work I've done on trust and a little bit about what I was hoping to share with you if I was there in person today. I've been focusing my work on the issue of trust in news for almost 2 years now, and I've learned a lot about what news consumers are looking for. When we ask news consumers, how do you decide what news to trust? Their answers are illuminating. Kind of sad we don't spend more time asking that question, honestly, and talking directly to people. So I want to tell you about some of the things I've learned through a bunch of questionnaires and interviews, and in conjunction with the newsrooms that have worked with me on the Trusting News project. I want to tell you a few of the things we've learned. One is that our communities have a lot of incorrect assumptions about our motivations, about our processes, about how we're funded, about why we do what we do, what our goals are, and we are not doing very much to educate them. We sort of accept that those misconceptions are there too often, or we address them in sort of a one-off way, like, no, I'm going to write a column to tell people what I wanted them to know about how we did this one story, but educating people about us and the value we offer is too often not part of our day-to-day newsroom duties and goals. Um, Another thing I've learned is that people often know what they're looking for in news, but they don't recognize it when they see it. So we're often doing the things people say they want, but they don't recognize it. So great example is I can't tell you how many of the 81 people we did in-depth interviews with, how many of them said what they want is like straight news. They want balance, they want multiple sides of a story, they want to not be persuaded, they just want to be informed. So when you say that to a room full of journalists, usually what they say is, well, like, obviously that's what we do day to day, right? But people don't recognize it. So I have a list of strategies I'm looking for newsrooms to help me test around things like, what if we say directly to people, we know it's important to hear from multiple sides of a story. That's why you're about to hear from A, B, and C. Or, we recognize that this issue is complicated. It has more than two sides. That's why we're handling it this way. Or we know that, yesterday we brought you this perspective. Today we're bringing you this perspective. There's so much we could be doing to kind of paint the bigger picture of the value we offer and of what we're trying to do. When this point might be my most frustrating important point. We know that people lump us, whoever we are, whatever journalism we're doing, we're part of the media, maybe my most hated two-word phrase in the history of English. And we are part of the media. Like, we can't, the media often do sensationalize and, emphasize conflict, make things up, focus on persuasion rather than information. Not all journalists are invested in public service and invested in improving their community, but many of us are. And I get so defensive when I hear criticisms of the media, and I have to stop and breathe and remind myself that those criticisms are often deserved. And if people don't understand why my friend who covers high school sports is different than that, or the people here in Sarasota who are leaving their families, battening up their houses and heading out to keep people informed about how full the shelters are and where they can get gas, like, if people don't understand that that's part of journalism and part of the media, then we're not doing our jobs. Nothing frustrates me more around this trust work than when I talk to journalists who seem to have given up on that. They feel that, that it's a lost cause, that the problem is with the news consumer, not with us. Now, believe me, I have plenty of frustrations. You should have seen me when I was analyzing the results of these interviews. I wanted to just throw my spreadsheet across the room because I would get so frustrated when people said things that just were inaccurate or uninformed, and yet it's not their job to understand news as much as it is my job to explain news. So I am hoping through the work that I'm doing to empower journalists to take on this issue of trust. The project I'm working on is demystifying what people are looking for and proposing concrete solutions. If you think that the people in your community should be proud of the role that you play and of what you're trying to accomplish, we've got to tell them. And we've got to not just tell them in a way that feels like a marketing push. We have to tell them as part of the journalism, as people consume the journalism. A part of it needs to be, here's what you're looking at, here's who we are, here's why you can trust us, here's why this matters. So I have a handout for you guys that I hope you're getting today that lists a few more of the things that I've learned and 7 very specific strategies that I'm about to start testing. From what you see there, I have very specific ways I want newsrooms to be addressing the problems we have before us that our user questionnaires and user interviews surfaced. We have a lot of ways to communicate directly with our community, in addition to, like, alongside our stories on air, on web, in print. We have social, we have newsletters, we have things we do when we talk to people in person. What if you arm your whole organization with a few sort of talking points so that when people complain about, fake news, which, another one of my favorite 2-word phrases, it's not even a thing. If it's news, it's not fake. If we arm people with sort of things we wish they knew, and if every time we were out doing speaking engagements in public, we included a few slides or a few points about, here's what you should know about local journalism. If we empowered people to get in touch with us, if we made it part of our public message that we want to hear from people and that earning trust is important to us, imagine what that could be. Several of the people we interviewed said just the fact that the journalists I was working with in my partner newsrooms, just the fact that they were part of a project on trust made them more trustworthy, because it sent a signal that trust was something they were focused on and invested in. So I want you to show your communities how you are distinct from the media. What makes you different? What's your agenda? If you don't have an axe to grind, tell people that. If you're trying to demonstrate what life in your community looks like, talk about that. If you're invested in your community, if you're neighbors with the people you're serving, talk about that. People are very curious about your ethics and your funding. They want to know that people have all kinds of misconceptions about, the what we're told to cover and like seriously assuming that we're told not to cover things because it would lose advertisers. That's a really common misperception. So we can't just go about our business in an ethical way and hope people notice. We have to tell them. We don't do this. Here's what we do. Here's why we're here. We need to look for chances to explain our reporting process and the investment we're making in it and how we know what we know. We need to be more clear about what kind of content we're offering. This is news versus opinion. We know you like it when journalists go deep. Here's an investigation we've done. Here's a special report. We need to demonstrate balance, and we need to invite people to know who we are, the people behind the news. So super quick overview. Again, I'm so sorry not to be there in person, and I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I have a lot on my mind and a lot going on here. So this is the best I can offer you today. But I'm grateful that I was invited to join you, and I'm so sorry to the rest of the afternoon's program that I won't be there. In the handout and potentially on a screen near you will be information about how to contact me. I would love to hear from you about what's working in your newsroom, how you're addressing trust, or what questions you have about how to go after this issue. I would love to connect, and I also am inviting newsrooms to apply to be one of the newsroom partners for my next round of testing. So I hope to hear from you. Thank you. Enjoy your time together, and I'll hope to catch you next time.